Chilling tales for dark nights.
Knuckle's Supper. Written by Drew Stepek. Performed here by Jason Hill. Chapter 15. Jesters. I jumped on the closest MTA as 3 fire engines roared by. I needed to head back to West Hollywood. I called Tahoe en route. "What?" he asked. "They killed my dogs." The other part." "What other part, fucker?" "They killed Leroy and Skillet." I scooted my butt to the very end of the plastic bus seat because the great big fat person next to me was taking up more than his fare of room. Not only should he have paid for 2 people, he was chowing on fast food, which was also looked down on when riding Los Angeles' top-notch public transport. They left a note that said they know we have Cobra. I continued to tell Tahoe, barely avoiding hanging up my phone as my co-chair lifted his arm to grab a bite of his burrito. Tahoe thought on the other end of the line for a minute, then dumbly asked, "Do we?" "What do you think, you huge dumbass? How in the hell could I have possibly kidnapped a massive Rastafarian who is closely guarded in a compound? Better question, why would I kidnap him at all? Besides, I've been with you losers for the last few days." "Oh, yeah. Right." My phone buzzed. "Just a second, someone's trying to call me." I clicked over. "Hello? It's me. Dez. Where the fuck have you been, asshole? I am going to fucking kill you when I found your little ass. Your goddamn friends killed my dogs, motherfucker. They killed my dogs. I can't wait to kill them. I can't wait to look in your eyes as I tear off your cock and then pound it into your mouth. Do you think that it's cool to rape a little girl? Did you think? I think we'd need to put that on the back burner," he said. The phone shuffled around on his end. Copperhead spoke. "Reynolds, did you get the message?" "Yes, assface. What reason did you have to kill my dogs?" "Jesus, dude, I have no idea where Cobra is." "You killed my dogs." He paused to suck on what I imagined was a joint and then exhaled. "We know you have him." "I seriously don't have him. What would I do with him?" "You have our drugs and our money." "Are you serious? You killed my dogs over some drugs that never even belonged to you. Listen, I think long and hard before you use any words. We want Cobra back, and then we'll give you Dez back." I called his bluff. I don't want Dez. The only reason I still wanted Dez around was to kill that little asshole myself. "We see you with Cobra, our money, and what's left of our heroin in an hour. Here." The bus announced my stop. Trying to hold on to my phone and get past the humongoloid sitting next to me, I accidentally dumped a large box of fries on the floor. "Hey!" he cried out as his tennis racket-sized hands fluttered around trying to beat the 5-second floor rule. He shoved a handful of dirt-covered potatoes into his mouth. "Hey what, fat boy?" I jammed his head into a sign that clearly said that there was no boom boxes, food, drink, or smoking permitted on the bus. Next to everything else prohibited was a picture of a dog. That sign said, "No pets." "Who you calling fat boy, motherfucker?" Copperhead yelled in my ear. "Some jackass on the bus." "Listen, Reynolds. We want Cobra and all our property in an hour." A shuffling sound, and then Dez got back on, his voice trembling. "What did you do with Cobra?" "I didn't do anything with him. Maybe if you bothered to come to our meeting the other night, you would have known that, you chicken shit little asshole. The longer this lasts, the worse it's gonna be for you." "Look, bro, they are about to kill me, and they already torched the garage. What? Was anybody there? I don't know. They picked me up on Sunset yesterday. Where have you been for the past few days? No one has heard anything from you. Never mind, asshole, I told him, hiding my involvement with Bate and her abortion. Who are you with? He asked. I haven't seen anyone for days. Oh, like I'm going to tell you that when you're sitting right in front of them. Tahoe and Pico are fine. I don't know about any of the others. Get here, RJ. This is bad. They've known about the stolen drugs the entire time. Thanks, fucker. I'm not going to turn you over to them anyway. That would be far too nice of me. They killed my dogs. I hung up. The fat ass that was sitting next to me had a fast food napkin shoved into his nose. I patted him on the back. Sorry, mate. You caught me on a very bad day. Jerk, he said as the bus started to slow to my stop. I looked at him, flinched at him with my fist, and then exited the bus. The Battlesnakes had known about the drugs the entire time. It must have been fun for them to see us scramble around and sell drugs just so they could sweep in at the end and grab all the profit. The only thing that left me baffled was the whereabouts of Cobra. The only person I knew who could even put up anything that resembled a fight with Cobra was Eldritch. Hopefully, the Battlesnakes didn't know about his involvement at all. Pico and Tahoe greeted me outside the mothership that was the Batwanger's whorehouse. Pico ran his fingers through what was left of his hair on the sides of his head. Where do you think Cobra is hiding? I fought thinking about my murdered dog so I wouldn't give in to my softness. It was time for me to put on a leader's face. I have no idea. The only two people I know who are strong enough to get him on the ground are you or Eldritch. I slapped Tahoe on the butt. Judging from the eyeliner and blush on his face, I guessed that Batwangers were having a good time with him. Since Tahoe is here and Eldritch is an enormous pussy, I don't have a clue where he is. Strained by the situation, Tahoe grumbled, probably hoping I wouldn't take note of his glittering lip gloss. Then where is he? Sounds like a setup. No shit, it's a setup. I rubbed my palm down his face. For God's sake, you look like a female bodybuilder. He buffed his forearms across his face. But we were just having some fun with the kid. Thank you, but dress up is over, I said. Now clean it off, you're coming with me. But I don't want to die. I shoved him back toward the door and kicked him in the rump. Go clean it off. If I have to die, then so do you. Besides, you're already dead, Juicehead. Think of it this way. You'll be putting your simple brain to rest. But nothing. Go wipe it off. He spit on his hand and wiped his face. It won't come off. Jesus, go ask one of the queers for makeup remover or something. With his face half covered by the collar of his t-shirt, Tahoe reluctantly headed back into the house. This is a bad idea, RJ. I agree with the big man. This is the most obvious trap ever. Who cares about Dez? You said this whole fiasco was his idea to begin with. Let him suffer the consequences. Let's get the Knucklers together and go over their full force. At least we'd have a fighting chance. I smacked the old man on the back of his head. They destroyed my house and the garage. Who knows if any Knucklers even exist anymore outside from Dez and the three of us. Besides, I agreed to steal the drugs and, like you said, I'm the leader. It's just as much my fault. I want to kill Dez myself. Forget all this brother bullshit. They killed my dogs, Pico. He raped a little girl. This kid has become more than a thorn in my side. I want him dead. And leaving him to the snakes is not my idea of justice. You're not going to make it out. Maybe. I give them this. I shook the bag on my back that had the last pound of stolen heroin in it. and tell them that I'll get the money. Do me a huge favor, try and get a hold of Eldritch and tell him to drop all the money. Should I tell him the situation? Pico asked. Don't tell him anything. Just tell him to drop the money. His involvement in this is nothing beyond helping me out. He knew this was a horrible idea to begin with. Relatively passive about the situation, he asked, What if you don't come back? I am coming back, but thanks for the concern. Do you really think I'm going to leave your pedophile ass with a 13-year-old girl? Oh, and give bait this. I grabbed the .45 insert necklace out of my pocket and dropped it in his hand. I kept her school ID card. What's this? It's some dumb thing she made. I found it back at what was my house. Well, what should I tell her? You know, if you don't come back. Don't tell her anything. And please, Pico, don't let the Batwangers turn her out or anything. Okay? But why? Just don't. If we don't come back, grab the little shit and get out of here. Go see Eldritch. I don't care. If I get killed and all the rest of us are dead, then Wangers can do whatever they want. Take her and leave. Pico reached in for a hug. I promise. I crossed my arms over my chest, avoiding his attempt to cuddle. Come on, dude, I'm coming back. They want their money more than anything else. Surely they will have no problem handing Dez over to me. They don't care about him. What are you going to tell them about Cobra? Shit. I might as well tell them that I have him in a safe place or something. He massaged the sides of his head. Do you think they'll believe that? Who cares? Besides, the money is the only bargaining chip I really have. I refuse to believe that Copperhead cares if Cobra is missing or not. If Cobra is dead, that makes Copper in charge of Los Angeles. That sneaky little tool probably killed him in his sleep and dumped him in the LA River. Let me just focus on getting Dez back and then give them their money. If they don't kill us right away, we'll have the opportunity to man up and leave town or whatever. He pulled on his hair. Where will we go? There are 49 other states. Each of those states has drugs, streets, and crooks. We'll be fine. Tahoe came out of the whorehouse. His face was rubbed red from trying to strip the makeup off and smeared with a mundrian of colors and sparkles. He rolled his shoulders and ripped the sleeves off his shirt. While discarding the sleeves on the ground, he flexed his biceps. I picked a plastic star off his cheek. That ain't gonna make you look tough, dude. Are you sure you don't have any change, Tahoe? He tried to dig his big flapjack hands into his tight jeans. Evaluating from the back, I decided that all of his pockets had holes in them. Coming up empty, he said, I don't have any money. Shocking. I dumped 5 bones into the bus's pay station. That's the great thing about Los Angeles transit system. If you don't have exact change, you're pretty much ass-fucked. Tahoe and I headed to the back of the nearly empty bus that took us directly down Santa Monica Boulevard. At first, Tahoe tried to sit next to me on the 2-seater metal and plastic seat. What are you doing? This isn't a love seat. I shoved him off and pointed to the front of the bus. There's barely anyone on here. He broke his fall with a handrail. I figured you wanted to talk. We can talk across the aisle. Are you 5 years old? You're like 300 pounds and you have sexy alien makeup smeared all over your face. We're already drawing way too much attention to ourselves. Fine, I'll stand. If that's what you want, crybaby. He thumped his left bicep with his index finger and then, in a huff, he chose a seat. Do you have any heroin? I patted the backpack. Yeah, I got a pound still in my bag that we're going to use to trade for Dez. I feel really weak. So did I. I needed to get high to replenish my body fluids. We don't have any blood or anything, I pointed out. Tahoe pointed with his head up the entirety of the bus. He grunted. On my side of the bus sat a mid-20s Hispanic chick listening to her iPod and reading a book, and the driver. On Tahoe's side, there was an Orthodox Jewish couple and a vagrant with a handheld pocket radio firmly pressed against his ear. There really isn't anyone to kill on here, I told him. I'm not killing the girl. Looks like she just got off work. I pointed to the apron on her lap. I'm not killing the Jews. They're way too old and dusty. I eyeballed the bum. Him? Maybe. He looks weak, but before I could finish my sentence, he pulled the cord, signifying that he was getting off the bus. If he only knew how lucky he was. Tahoe began standing. Should we get off? I grabbed him by his t-shirt and pulled him back down to his seat. Sit down. We just got on the bus. We have to go downtown. I'm not going to get off and kill this guy, then stand around waiting for another bus. You have gotten soft. I slapped him from his chest up to his chin. Soft how? Soft because I don't want to kill some girl who just worked like 20 hours to support her family, or soft because I don't want to kill some crusty old couple who want to get home after temple? He relaxed in his seat. Just soft. The old RJ would have killed all of them for fun. We'll find some rats or something once we get downtown. He cracked his knuckles. I ain't eating no rats. What choice do we have, asshole? He nodded toward the front of the bus again. I surveyed the vehicle. The driver? Yeah. Justification for killing was always such a curious thing. I always validated killing people to support my habit. My life force, by seeking out the slimiest cocksuckers I could. It was usually an honor bestowed upon thieves, pimps, gangsters, and the like. I didn't regularly just kill anyone unless they wronged me or the rest of the world in some way. Mizuko and Brianna at the gym were a little different. He deserved to die for being an a-hole, and I suppose she was guilty by association. So, I guessed by association, technically, the bus driver was guilty of working with the Mass Transit Authority and dicking me out of 250. After all, he could have at least tried to make change for me when he saw Tahoe and me scrambling through our pockets. Setting some conditions, I told Tahoe, I'm not soft. He's yours. But we have to ride the bus until everyone gets off. If we hit the end of the line and there are people on the bus, we're eating rats. He agreed as he pulled a hand grip wrist and forearm exerciser out of the front of his pants. I was amazed that he had room for them, considering his jeans appeared to be sprayed on. Astonished, I asked him, they still make those things? He pressed the grip with his right hand and then flipped it over to his left and pressed it again as if he'd been waiting for this moment in front of a mirror his entire life. Yeah, he said casually. What of it? No reason really, I just didn't think they made those cheeseball things anymore. He stopped pumping, swung the circle part of the device around his finger and re-gripped it like he was a gunslinger. Yep, they still make them. Gets me totally psyched. I laughed. All that growth hormone you shoot is really messing up your brain, man. I grabbed the toy out of his hand and squeezed it. These things don't even do anything. He nabbed it back. Gets me pumped. He remained silent as the Jewish couple got off the bus just outside of Hancock Park, followed by the Hispanic girl in K-Town. We waited to see if anyone else got on the bus, and as soon as we started to see the projects on the skirts of downtown, I signaled to Tahoe. He blasted out as he fell over into the center aisle. He grabbed his stomach and belted again. Startled, the bus driver looked into the huge rearview mirror. What's going on back there? This guy's hurt, I shouted back as if I didn't know Tahoe. It should have been pretty obvious to the driver that we did indeed know each other since we'd been sitting next to each other talking for the better part of a half hour. Stupidly, he pulled the bus to the side of the road between Figueroa and Grant. Unlike most cities, Los Angeles' downtown area was completely vacant on most nights after the sun went down, unless there was a Lakers or Kings game or a big concert at the Staples Center. We were lucky. It wasn't one of those nights. Help, mister! Tahoe cried out as he started to crawl to the front of the bus. I had to give him credit. His acting performance was pretty convincing. Must have been all the prep work he did with his masturbation machine thing. Without bothering to call dispatch, the driver rushed back to Tahoe. As he bent over to see what all the ruckus was about, he was snapped underneath Tahoe like a rat in a trap. The big man put his hand over the driver's mouth as he shoved his index finger up to his own mouth. "Shh," Tahoe whispered. More than overpowered, the scrawny bus driver lay under Tahoe and shivered. Quietly, he said, "We don't carry any money. Please, I have a family." As the one-man wrecking crew turned the driver over so he was face down, he planted his face into the grimy and moldy bus floor. All the driver could do was kiss a day's worth of shoe sludge. I cooked up some powder on my spoon as quickly as possible and threw in a cotton ball to soak up the sugar. Tahoe spoke into the driver's ear, reassuring him that everything was going to be fine. Jumping the gun a little, as the drugs weren't fully cooked, I slurped as much of the liquid into my needle and threw it to Tahoe, which, of course, he caught with his teeth like a pirate. Knowing that he didn't need my help to get his desserts, I let him take care of the driver himself as I cooked up my share. Before the driver had a chance to call out for help, Tahoe manhandled his arms like a doll by bending them backwards until they unhinged from the torso. Tahoe firmly pressed his knee into the man's neck and snapped it sideways. He was dead instantly. And while we normally kept our prey alive until we were both high, drastic times called for drastic measures. While the driver's heart let out a few last beats, I sipped my heroin into another syringe and grabbed my arm bong from Tahoe just as he adjusted his weight, injected his drugs into the arm, and snapped the knuckle off with his teeth. I turned my arm upright so as not to spill the blood everywhere, injected my needle into the wrist, snapped the knuckle off, and followed suit. Knowing time wasn't something we had on our side, we took a seat next to each other and slugged away at our arms. Feeling too guilty to cheer Tahoe for his hard work, I went about finishing the deed. There was no time to sit back and enjoy the nectar. I looked at the limp body of the driver spilling blood all over the center of the bus. "Shit," I said. "It was either him or us. Right? I mean, kinda." Tahoe didn't answer. After we were satisfied and refreshed, we turned off the bus's hazard lights, shut it down, and closed the doors behind us. The rest of the journey to the Battlesnake's compound was on foot. Good evening. This is Jason Hill, host of the Horror Hill podcast. You've been listening to a chapter from the award-winning novel Knuckle Supper by best-selling author Drew Stepek. Knuckle Supper, Ultimate Gutter Fix Edition, and its critically acclaimed sequel, Knuckleballed, are available now from Bloodbound Books. Check out the links in the video description and sticky comments below to pick up a copy today and show your support for indie horror. Also, please consider making a donation to Children of the Night today and help end teen prostitution and human trafficking. Children of the Night is a privately funded non-profit organization established in 1979 with the specific purpose of providing intervention in the lives of children who are sexually exploited and vulnerable to, or involved in, prostitution and pornography. Visit childrenofthenight.org for more information today. From author Drew Stepek and all of us here at Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, thanks for listening and for your support.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.